Hi, everybody. Lisa Fry with My Mystical Life, drinking something warm here in Hawaii because my husband believes that tropical weather means heightened air conditioner temperatures. And I don't want to disrupt the flow for when he gets home from work. So I'm drinking a warm tea. So I hope everybody, words are hard. I hope everybody's having a fabulous day. I feel a shift in energy today. I'm wondering if anybody else is feeling that as well. It just feels like there's a different thing going on. I'm not quite sure what it is yet. So, but hi. Well, there's my sister right out the gate. Hi, Angel. I'm supposed to pull you a card. So let me do that. Okay. And there it is. It's going to fall. Okay. Good Lord. Cards falling everywhere. Okay. Hold on. Got cards falling everywhere. I'm going to pull you another one after this one. This right here, if you guys look at this picture, we look nothing alike, okay? She's a ginger and I'm not. We look absolutely nothing alike, but that is my sister. So you never would have pulled us out of a profile. Maybe not a ginger, she's a redhead. But she's my little sister, so I can pick on her. Anyhow, her card is about adversity and knowing how to move forward because of challenges that have been in life, not due to challenges that are coming up, but it is because of challenges that you've had that you can look back and say, this is some shit I never want to do again. And this is how we move forward. I'm supposed to pull you another card, but that is, hey, I'm like 3% of the world. That makes you exceptional. I love your red hair. I always have loved her red hair. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And as she gets older, it goes a lot less red and more to a chocolate colored red color. It's really beautiful. And it's very, very long. Very beautiful hair. And they're talking about new energies that you have coming in, that you have new abundance and new activities that are going to be coming up for you specifically. So as part of the family unit, you have new energy, but you specifically have some stuff that'll be coming up. So mind your energy though. Make sure you're not picking up everybody else's junk because you don't need to do that. Okay. So that's my little sister. 1% if you include the blue eyes. It comes from that Scottish stuff. So hi, everybody. I want to talk today about paranormal experiences. So I have decided that I really love having everybody on to chat. And I think it's really good. And if we can do little short excerpts of what have your guys' paranormal experiences been? I know I've had a couple that have shaped the way I think about generally in life nowadays. No negativity, no. But I think quite a few of us, most of us have had some sort of paranormal experience, whether it is you saw something and you're not quite sure what the heck it was, or did you have a haunted house when you were growing up? You're welcome, Angel, love you. And you know what, you guys, I don't read for family and friends, so it was unusual that my guide said, hey, pull for Angel. I do not read for, matter of fact, nobody asks me to because I just don't. So that's interesting. And also I know I have Uncle Butch off to the side here going, hey, you know. It's so funny, I know it's Uncle Butch because I hear pretty little angel eyes. So, and I was getting ready to step away from that and they're like, pretty little angel eyes. Oh, he's so awesome. Anyhow, so we've all had some sort of paranormal experience, and if you guys want to get on and talk about it, I would be more than interested to hear about it. I've got to figure out how to do that again. Oh, okay. So I will copy and paste this onto the messages if anybody wants to get on and talk about or have questions about something that has happened in their life that might have had a paranormal bend to it. Or what is it that stimulated your intuition? What is it that stimulated your interest in this type of thing? So I will be doing readings in between the time that we have people that want to get on and talk about what sparked their initial interest. I can tell you that I have lived in some haunted houses, or at least a haunted house that we had a troop of military people walk through our living room once a year. A troop of people, but it was, very Civil War area. Teresa says she sees things out of the corner of her eyes all the time, and that is very significant, because what that is, and it's very scientific as well. And Teresa, they're trying to get your attention is what it is. Someone's that's passed is saying, hey, that's me trying to tell you that I'm here to let you know I love you. But when we see things out of the corner of our eyes, it's because our eyes are made. Oh, the one in Virginia. Yeah, that was the creepy house. Our eyes are made. Get this. How amazing is the divine energy to make it so that we have to really question things, because we can see spirit out the corner of our eyes, but not in the front. So that's why when you see something that has startled you, you're like being abducted. Hey, whatever. That we'll talk about it. If you have seen something out of the corner of your eye and you turn to see what it is, it's gone. Well, it's not necessarily gone as much as it is the rods and cones in our eyes cannot take in the wavelength of the energy that we're trying to see. That's why it's very difficult to see ghosts, because they are on a different wavelength. And if you think of it as dimensional rather than maybe bending light or anything like that, it makes a little bit more sense. But that is why we can't see the things from the corner of our eyes straight on. It's a physiology of our eyes, actually, the anatomy of our eyes. Okay, let's see. Tracy Charles says a card, please, a card. But when I first started working intuitively, that was one of my questions. Why can I see stuff out of the corner of my eye? And I was told that is absolutely our past loved ones and guides trying to get our attention. So they're trying to get a message across to you, Teresa. This is for Tracy Charles. I swear I did shuffle the deck. And what comes up is adversity. But Tracy, see, when I'm reading cards like this, I know what the words are here, but it mean something different to each person. And this card here is about the subtleties of energy around you. And some of the things that you've gone through in life have geared you towards learning how to follow your gut. You really need to start falling into that if you don't do it already, because the challenges in life set you up for being successful. That's what they're for. They're supposed to be lessons. They're not supposed to be happening to me, but for me. And that's what they want you to revolve in. Just know that everything that happens is happening for you, and they're being laid down as opportunities to learn so that you can move forward in your spiritual journey. And we are, every one of us, you guys know, we're all on a spiritual journey. Whether you think you are or not, you're on a spiritual journey. That's why we're here. When you go back over to the Life Between Lives, it's pretty laid out for you. You know that you went, oh crap, look what I missed out on that life, or look what I achieved. I met this. I didn't meet that. I have to work harder, or yay, I can take a little bit of a relaxing life next time. So we are all on a spiritual journey. We just have to open up and be aware of that. Okay. If you guys want to come on and talk about it, about your paranormal experience, there is the link. I love the fact that we can do that. Some people can get on, some people can't. I apologize for that. I don't know what the difference is, but some people make it on and some people have a harder time doing that. So let's see. Yeah, Teresa says she just says hi and goes on about what she's doing. And I have to say there's some validity to that, because I don't want to lose where I'm at, but I have done the same thing. And I'll have to tell you about the haunted house that I lived in. And that's what I did until the very last night I lived there. And then they scared the shit out of me and I was done with it. Let's see. Larissa, yes, it has been a long time. For whatever reason, my it's not sending out alerts when people are online really well. So I have no idea why. Tracy Charles says, I had Spirit hand me a crystal pyramid. That's pretty cool. That's cool. That's cool. You know, we are gifted with things along the way. And I have like, my necklace is, although I made it, it was actually a gift from Metatron. He guided me to make the whole thing and helped me put it together to show me that I could actually accomplish it. But I look at this as a gift. And when we have something that's gifted to us through spirituality or spiritual person, it means more than if we went out and bought it. Not that there's any stigma to going out and buying things for yourself, but when you do get something spiritually as a gift from somebody else, it really does create a different energy that's with it. So I'm trying to juggle a couple different things at one time. So I think that's really interesting, Larissa. She's talking about being abducted, or as she calls them, visitations. And, you know, it used to be that people would be like, they would think that that was crazy. And now, at least in the circles I run in, we're like, really, that's so interesting. So I think it would be a really interesting topic to talk about, and maybe even have just an afternoon that we do a live, that we have people come on that want to talk about some of the similarities that they've had in visitations, or even if it is I know that I have communicated with the collective, and there's a Galactic Federation. I've communicated with them as well. So, I mean, there's just different ways to do these visitations. And Lewis said, childhood hauntings, yes, it's the houses as well. Dawn Johnson says, I see orbs and also things out of the corner of my eyes. So, and she's new from the UK. Hi. But yeah, I mean, orbs, some people can actually visually see orbs. Other people catch them in cameras. Now, I'm going to tell you guys that when I first started doing this, before all of this broke into the weird life that I have now, that I call it weird. It's not really weird now. It's kind of normal, and other people are like, you know, whatever. But in pictures, I will try always to debunk an orb, because they can be something that have, I don't know what that is. I heard something, but I don't know what it is. They are something that can be mistakenly taken for a ball of energy if you have dust in the room or bugs in the room that catch a flash. So I'm very critical of photography orbs, but there are people that catch orbs visually as well. Not to say that not all orbs in photography are dust or anything like that, because I have seen some really incredible evidence with authentic self-generated light orbs that are on their own path that are really quite amazing. So that's the other thing. I'm really big on making sure that when I post something, now if you guys go to My Mystical Life, there is a photograph there, and it is a very dark photograph. And if you pull in close, you can see what we're talking about in the photograph. And this was actually the beginning of my spiritual journey. This photograph was the beginning of the literal beginning of my spiritual journey. And it's my son's photograph. We just rediscovered it and a bunch of stuff that we had. And it is a Confederate soldier carrying a flag and a lantern, and he has a hat on. And we knew nothing about this. We were at Sailors Creek Battlefield in Virginia. We didn't know anything about the legend of him. And we popped the photograph and we took it into our salon, and they were like, oh yeah, that's normal. I'm like, what? So there is great photographic evidence out there. There really, really is. Just be discerning and make sure it's authentic. There's a lot of things that can happen on a camera that make things look. That's what I did when we were ghost hunting. I was a debunker. So that's kind of, I really pay attention to that. Janet says she had a severe haunting, the kind where sleeping in the same room for a while. I have been opening more than I was before because of it. And I believe Janet is actually here in our queue to talk about this online, I think. Are you there, Janet? You're there, Janet? Janet, that's you? Hi, Janet. Okay. All right. I'm going to pull Janet online and let's talk about this because I think it's really interesting because a lot of people think that when they have hauntings that they actually start to feel a little bit alone. And if they share it, people get a little bit wonky. So it's good to be able to talk about this in a safe environment. So let's go ahead and bring on Janet. Hi, Janet.
Hi, sweetheart.
I haven't talked to you in a while.
I know. I miss you.
I miss you too. I've been really busy. I've just been all over. So, so tell us about your haunting.
Okay. It started out with my daughter being lonely at 12. And she was 12 or 13. And she invited a spirit in.
Oh.
And this thing it started out with just talking to her and talking in her ear and whatnot. And then it ended up being, oh my God, then it ended up being attacks, physical attacks, like scratching, being thrown across the room. Levitating, being thrown backwards. I've been scratched. I've been choked. Yeah, what else do you want to know?
I want to know, do you feel it had anything to do with her age? Because I know that they say
Yes.
Teenage girls, hey.
We're open.
We're very open. But not only that, generate a lot of psychic activity. So
Right.
I mean, that you really feel like it had to do with her age and not only just bringing it in, but fostering it basically, not on purpose, of course, but it just kind of hung out because that was the thing,
Yeah. I do believe age had a lot to do with it. This thing actually possessed her at one point. And it was the scariest thing that we ever experienced.
So, did you go through the whole let's call in an old priest?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And that was a joke. That was a joke,
or anything like that. But I mean, now hopefully now you can laugh about it.
I do. It was a joke. It was a joke. They didn't know what they were doing. The priest. Yes, we did have a priest come in. Yes, we did. It was like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Oh, we'll call a priest because, well, that's what everybody does, right?
Right. We've seen the Exorcist. We know how this goes.
People don't do it. Just don't. Because it's a joke. I did a lot of different training after this experience and did some paranormal psychology courses and stuff. And one of my instructors was like, well, if you think about it, a spirit is in your home and say that they are Hindi or something like that, or some other totally different religion. And you bring a priest in and the power of Christ is compelling you, throwing that stuff all around. And it's like, boy, do you have the wrong spirit. I don't believe in that. What do you think that's going to do?
Now, how do you feel it would have been? Now, were you a very religious family at the time?
No.
Okay. So
not at all.
If they had come in and say you were really steeped in Catholicism and a Catholic priest had come in at this time, do you feel like it would have made change? Or do you feel like it was the environment of the home that it was not part of your belief process that also kind of, and I'm just asking questions because I have no idea. I'm just asking questions.
No, I get what you're saying. Absolutely, I get what you're saying. No, to be very honest with you, what changed everything was the power of belief.
Right.
Okay. And not too many people get that. It's okay, people, if you are giving this thing fear, guess what you're going to get back?
Right. Exactly.
That's the control.
Yeah. So, how did Ellie's Guiding Light? If you guys haven't met Ellie from Ellie's Guiding Light, who is asking this question, she's amazing. Go to her Facebook page. She's fantastic. And don't you have a Facebook page, Janet?
Yes, ma'am.
What is your Facebook page?
The Evolving Spirit.
The Evolving Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I will type that right here. So how did you end? I can spell evolving. Okay.
OLVING.
How did you end up getting rid of this energy?
Gaining control over ourselves.
Yeah.
The power of fear, the power of anger, well, they're powerful.
Yeah.
They can change everything that you're doing. When you decide, no more, I'm done. I am not going to allow this thing to control my life anymore.
Gotcha.
And that's what it was doing.
Yeah. Oh,
it was controlling everything we did.
Like a chessboard. If I do this, fear will make me do this.
So it's about getting out of fear and empowering the self.
Gotcha.
And saying, this is my body, my soul. I own this. You don't.
Right.
I have every right to kick you out.
We had a very, we had things move around in our house. We owned this great big huge Victorian house in Virginia. Mm-hmm. The upstairs used to be used as a dispensary for troops. And I believe they were Confederate troops. But we had so many energies in this house, and I thought it was really cool. This was all before anything happened for me. Okay. I was just still little Lisa nail technician working my little ass off. And I thought it was awesome. I just loved it. I love it. I never felt alone. My very first experience in the house was they had painted over, they put carpet and glue over top of pattern heart pine floors where they were in geometric patterns. It was beautiful. Ooh, I was on the floor scraping glue off of the floor. And I'm there, and our kitchen was absolutely huge. And my countertop was probably 15 foot long. It was huge. And I had just done the dishes, and my cat was the only thing in the house other than me. So I'm in the kitchen, and I had put the dishwashing, the little plastic thing that has dishwashing liquid in it. I put it behind my sink. Okay. I'm in the living room on the floor scraping, and I hear something crash in the kitchen. And I'm like, how was that? Now I'm in the house 3 days. And I get up and I go to the kitchen, and my dishwashing thing is in the middle of the kitchen floor. And I was like, So my brain's going, the only way this could have gotten here was with the cat went behind the sink, and he picked it up in his mouth because it has no soap on it whatsoever, and ran to the end of the counter and threw it into the middle of the kitchen, and it landed on the floor. So I really kind of at that point I was like, this is cool. This is really cool. And then, I enjoyed it until the very last night I lived in the house. And I don't know if it was saying goodbye. I don't know what it was doing, but I had a blast. I felt people. I felt people outside the door. I knew that people wiggled my toes. So, but it was not fearful. I wasn't living in fear of it.
This one started, it was really interesting. This one started when we moved in, the very night that we moved in. I heard a woman crying.
Oh.
And now I'm sensitive. You already know this. Yeah. I'm already, I'm psychic. You know this. Okay. Right. And I have been all my life. But I heard a woman crying. And okay, here's the deal. Now you hear about these stories on the shows where there's hauntings, right? And the woman or whoever is trying to wake the mate up.
Yeah.
And they can't wake up. Guess what? That's real. That is flipping real, guys. I'm not even joking. So I'm hearing this woman crying, and I'm shaking my husband. I'm going, babe, babe, do you hear that? Nothing. He's not waking up. He's not acknowledging I'm alive. He's not acknowledging anything. And I'm like, well, this is weird. And so we're sleeping on a mattress in the living room the very first night. We didn't have any of our furniture up. And I get up and I'm walking through the house and I'm following the sound. And I'm hearing this woman crying. I'm also a very strong empath, so I'm freaking out. I'm hurting. It's awful. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm walking through the house. You could hear all through the house the woman crying. I walked outside. Guess what? Not outside. We were the only human beings in that house at that point. And you can hear it outside. And it just ramped up from there.
Wow.
So, yeah. Yeah. How did I get rid of it? Sorry. Yeah, sorry. How did we get rid of it? Honey, we really didn't. My daughter she's my daughter, so of course she's very sensitive also.
Right.
And she just went, nope, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to hear. Well, she hears.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear this. I don't want anything to do with this. So she just clamped herself down.
Right.
I took parapsychology courses. I took courses in everything paranormal. I trained myself and I was like, okay, I'm no longer going to be the victim of this.
Right. Right.
And that's honestly where I can't say that the severe attacks, the negative haunting went away.
Yeah. But
it never. I'm still very open. I still see. I see shadow people every night. Every night.
When this first started for me, and I'd be interested to hear if anybody else has things like this happen when you're opening up and awakening. We would be laying in bed. Now it's really funny because Sam and I are so close that we share a psychic link all the time.
Oh yeah.
All the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying we walk around and finish each other's sentences from across the room or anything weird like that, but we do when we're laying in bed. Sam and I would be laying there and he would go, "Do you see that?" And it very much like Ghost, like the movie Ghost, where those shadows move. Our bedroom in Ohio, the shadows move like that. And, it was a lot of interesting times in that. But I really appreciate you sharing your story because I think that people need to realize that these things do really happen. And there's different ways to do it. You don't have to call an old priest and a young priest. There are different ways to deal with this. And I really like that.
It's bolstering yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Strengthening you and saying, okay, and here's really, if I can tell anybody what to do here, in which I don't do that, but I recommend you strengthen your resolve. You strengthen who you are in spirit.
Right.
And you realize this is mine. Mm-hmm. I inhabit this body. Yeah. This is mine, and nothing has the right or the ability to take over if you don't give it permission.
And sadly, you invite it in the house, and that that does create it.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, darling.
I love you. Thank you so much, honey.
I will talk to you later. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. So that just, I mean, that is one perspective, you guys, on how to get rid of something that's lingering around that we don't want to have around. And it does happen. It does happen. If anybody else wants to share, the link is up there, you guys. We can talk about it. Not a problem. I think it's a great subject. I know we talked about doing a Zoom room and having people get on and share their ghost stories, and we still will do that. But I just think this is a great subject for whatever reason today, to realize that there are some things outside of our visual aspect, I guess, that when we're either an intuitive or not an intuitive, we run into these things and we don't really know what to do. And I'll give you an example. My father down in Texas, not my dad, but my father is, I know it's a weird differentiation, whatever. He went on a ghost hunting thing with us. Now, we went to the Matagorda Cemetery. The Matagorda Cemetery, I didn't know at the time, he didn't bother to tell me, is this hugely haunted cemetery. And so my friend Allie and I went with Bill and his girlfriend, Patty. So we're going around, we're walking around, we have EVP, we have all of these things to collect and gather information. And I mean to tell you, he's 6'3". My father's 6'3", and he about turned tail and ran because he ran into something in the cemetery and it scared the pea water out of him. And that's, we have instances like that. It made a believer out of him. He became fascinated with ghost investigations. I haven't been able to go do that with him. He had a lung transplant, so he's very limited in what he can do now. But he was like, let's go do this and let's go do that. And I'm like, I am not a fan of cemeteries, never, ever have been. Lisa Phillips says, I have an experience, but I can't get on. Keep trying, Lisa, because sometimes it'll go through, sometimes it won't. Try a different device, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes I have no idea why it works on here and it doesn't work on the other one, and the other one doesn't work on mobile. It's just a pain in the butt. So let's see, who do we have? Ellie says she used to work in a hospital, and that happened to other nurses in the break room where they heard things. That is very, very prevalent in hospitals. Nursing homes is another big area for that. I've never worked in a nursing home, but I have friends that have. And I have one friend that was telling me about this creepy clown figure that was running around, and I'm like, that's a hard pass for me. Okay, that's a really, really hard pass for me. So, anyhow, okay. So Raquel, because I've talked to Raquel maybe yesterday, says, I have seen, heard, and felt energy. I have EVPs and have seen some stuff in my homes. What I have found through dealing with all entities, love, the emotion of love. The sage is the strongest thing that I have used to get any entity or energy out of my house. Love works more than anything else. You're totally right. That feeling of love. And let me tell you why. This is why I'm not. Oh, yes, it is streaming live on YouTube as well. So the way I'm looking at Raquel's post here is, as an energy worker, okay, we have the ability, and I don't know if everybody knows that, but we have the ability to open the other side for releasing an energy into life between lives. It is done through love. Every time, and now that I look back on my ghost investigations, the only way I would go out and do ghost investigations was if I found an energy that I felt needed to be released, that I would take care of that. I have run across quite a few energies over time before I knew how to do that I didn't help. And I feel really guilty about that. So now I know that is something that you can do, but that's done through healing energy and love. So psychopomp is through the shamanic. Sometimes you do run into some nasty things. That's where psychopomp and shamanism comes in, where you can really kind of push them over. Sometimes they're not really crazy about leaving, but there are multiple different ways. Sage is wonderful for clearing out negative energies. But if you have a rooted, deep, like something attached to, Trisha, Palo Santo is great. I love Palo Santo. But if you have something deeply rooted within the dirt, it's with the land. That's usually a shaman type of thing where it really needs a little bit of help to move on, because it could be, and I'm not huge on people saying things are evil or anything like that. I think that we have souls that have been trapped and lost, and they forget who they are. And then we have elementals and things like that. But when it comes to human energies that are hauntings, a lot of times they're just stuck. So anybody that wants to get on and talk about their story, they're more than welcome to. That's what we're talking about today. I'm really loving this we can get on and talk thing. I have a blast. As you can tell, I'm on quarantine. I don't have a whole lot of adult interaction. So that's not true. I've read all day today. And what's really great is my day starts at 7 o'clock in the morning. And Cindy was so gracious last night. She's like, we can move it till later, because she was my first appointment this morning. And I said, oh, no worries. She was a soul tapping. So energy does get stuck. When the soul tapping, I do the night or before, the day before, so I can breeze through that first appointment. So energy can get stuck. And here's how that happens. When we have decided, when our life here is done, when our time to move on has come, we are going to move on to the other side. Okay. We have a specific set amount of time that we can go back and check on loved ones. We can stick around. A lot of energies stick around and watch their funerals. They stay to make sure that that the people that they love are taken care of. Because not only are they the people that they love on this side, on the other side as well, they're part of the soul circle. So that's still, they have this attachment to people. And I don't say attachment in a negative way, but they still have that emotional human attachment to people. So they want to make sure that they're okay. So they have a certain amount of time that they can stick around and make sure everybody's all right. Now, that is why you hear people talk about they felt something. They felt like somebody was sitting with them, somebody holding their hand, those type of situations. And the other thing that can happen is when we go from life between lives and we consign to a new life, we've decided what our lessons are. This is totally not what I planned on talking about. But we decide where we're going to go, what body we're going to be in, where we're going to be at, what our brain's going to be, all those things, and we move on to another life. We leave back in the life between lives, that higher self portion of ourselves that is a percentage that sticks behind to be able to be that higher self motivation there, and also be able to go in and check on loved ones as well. So there's a lot of different aspects to this, and a lot of people have different ideas about this. So never take one person's idea. My thoughts may not register with you on this. No funnels allowed. No funnels. So just know that when somebody does get stuck, usually this happens to younger souls where they're staying behind, they're making sure things are okay. They might have had, it might have been something that jarred them or traumatic or something like that as well. And they may stick back a little too long, and they kind of forget that they need to move. And that is why I always encourage people to help energies transition over, help energies move on. If you're an energy worker, this is valuable. This is very, very valuable. And it's important to help energies move on, because if they're sticking around and we're running into them, there's a reason for that. Let's make it happen. Ellie Coyle says, my grandfather protected me for years when I went and met Andy. That's amazing that our guides can stick behind. They just, our loved ones, they love us. They love us. Okay, so here we go. Let's go, you guys. I know we've been talking about some rather random things today, but I really think it's important to realize that we're not alone. We have experiences for a reason, and it's part of our journey. So let's go through and start. If everybody could share one time, I didn't share at all. I would appreciate it if everybody would share just one time. That would be fabulous. If you know people if you are not on the YouTube channel, go find us on the YouTube channel, My Mystical Life, Lisa Fry, My Mystical Life. If you're not on Facebook, go find us on Facebook. We're trying to flesh things out a little bit on social media so we have a little bit better understanding of where we're getting things from. So let us scroll through and start to talk about, gosh, I feel somebody's anxiety on here. It's making a little bit. I like, Larissa talks about, she has seen the solar flashing lights. I watched a program on this the other day that it was really interesting. I'll have to find it. It was a very little known lady that, I have to find it on the thing. Carol Ann says, I've seen groups of lights and orbs communicating with each other in metallic voices. They were red, blue, and white. It was in the middle of the night. That is really, really cool. Anybody that's had alien encounters where you see things out that we can't explain, that is really quite amazing, and it does change you a little bit. Ricky Hypnopsychic says, I believe some will stay because of fear of where they may go. I also shared. Thank you so much. I agree that younger souls have a little bit of a hesitancy about moving on if they don't know exactly what's going to happen. I believe that the older souls are, it's kind of, hi Nancy, I see you. I think that the older souls are more accustomed to, okay, we're doing this again. Let's go. Let's meet our guides. Let's move on to the next step. Let's do our healing. Let's do our body selection. And it's much longer than that. It's, of course, times for here. But another thing I want to set aside a misconception about is when people take their own life, you guys, there is no categorization for people after they pass away. There is no, aloha, Kelly. There is no, oh, these people did this over here, so we're going to put them over here. That is not how this goes. They get to the other side and they go, crap, I gave up too soon. Now I have to do it over again. And that's a do-over. It isn't a limbo. It's not going to hell. I don't believe in hell anyways. It's none of that. It is oh crap, I have to do that over again. And it's just a cycle. We're all learning, and that's part of the learning. So I have Nancy Bolliard over here. We always love hearing from Nancy. So we're going to pull Nancy on and see, look, she's like, smile. Hold on 1 second. Let's see what Nancy has to share. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm pretty good, actually.
Awesome.
I wanted to tell you a story that's been going on for 30 years plus.
Wow.
I moved to California when I was much younger, and I was there for 7 years. I have collected a little mischief maker, and this little mischief maker takes things, never forever, only until I'm very frustrated, then brings them back. They're always in perfect shape. Marty didn't believe this. This is my husband. But one day we left the living room and I had a set of keys that had 45 keys on it. I was working at the post office. I had keys for everything. It was huge. Wouldn't fit in my purse. This is something that couldn't just disappear.
Right.
It was laying in the middle of a table with nothing else. Nothing. We both had to leave the room. When we came back, the keys were gone. He looked at me and he said, what did you do with your keys? I said, I didn't touch them. He said, oh, come on, they're not here. We looked through the entire house. We turned things upside down. We looked under couch cushions. We looked in every room. And when we got back to the living room, they were in the middle of the table. And I'm telling you, this is an entity that sometimes I will stand in the middle of the floor and say, okay, I do not have time for this. I have to be at work in 15 minutes. Where are my keys? And they'll magically the next place I look, they are.
So I have to ask.
I don't know.
Do you think it's a fairy?
A fairy, a very young spirit. someone who passed very young and hasn't passed on and just
Okay.
gets kicked out of being,
Okay.
I don't know.
Because it's
I
very
thought
common
fairy at first
fairy
because
behavior.
it's very mischievous.
Yeah, that's very, very common fairy behavior, actually. So that's
But it goes everywhere with me. It's not like something that was there and stayed there. It came from California with me. It moves to every house with me.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of weird though. Isn't that kind of strange?
Well, but isn't it? See, to me, I would look at that and feel like I'm never alone. That's kind of comforting. And
Well, it is really.
yeah,
But the problem is, I can lay something down next to
pisses me
me,
off.
and 2 minutes later, it's gone. And it's
Because it's
like,
almost
oh,
testing your
please
sanity.
don't do that
Going,
to me.
how sane do you feel today? Do you really think you move those, or do you not? How you feeling lucky?
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to lay this pen down here while I'm writing, while I'm journaling. It's like I can lay a pen down and take a drink and go to pick up the pen, and it's gone. And it's like, no, I just put it there. I know it was there. That's when sometimes you just think that you're going nutso.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Pens in this household are like dry land. They're hard to find. So, I mean, if I have a pen, I have this is the only, and I'm not even kidding, the only pen in the house right now. And it's stuck, but it's the only one. It is mine. And if it come up missing, I'd be devastated.
Well, my journal came up missing one day, and I went to journal, and it was like, what are you going to do with my journal? Can you journal for me today?
I don't feel like writing.
When I looked, seriously, when I went back to the table, it was there, and it was open. Okay, I can't journal for you, so here.
Well, where was it open to? Was it open to anything specific?
It was open to a blank page because I was getting ready to journal.
Oh, I love it. I do love it. I do love it.
All I had put on it was a date, and that was from the night before because I knew when I get up, I journal.
Right.
So
good.
It opened to the page that had the date on it.
Yeah, well, at least they did that.
It's just very strange. Marty said I should get on and tell you about it because
absolutely,
you hear about spirits that stay with houses, and you hear about things that you do when you're at a house, or hear that when you're at a house. But mine follows me around,
which is not. You know what? It's not as uncommon as you think. Some
which is great because it's kind of nice that a fairy likes me enough to stay around.
Right. They're like, oh, we like her energy. She's fun. We'll stick with her. So that's awesome. I love it. I'm glad you got on and said something.
Thank you.
Well, it was so nice to see you.
It's good to see you too. I know how far away you are. I was there.
I know.
I'm in paradise, and I'm here in Missouri when it's 95 degrees.
I can't even go out the door. I got yelled at I'm not supposed to go sit on the patio or anything. They're like, you're not allowed. They called me. Hawaii called me and said, you're not allowed to go outside and exercise or anything. And I'm like,
oh no. But you're in paradise and stuck in a hole. That's horrible.
I know. And I'm an eighth of a mile from the cove. An eighth of a mile. Like, you
can almost wish yourself there,
I know. I can meditate there. But yeah, I'll be, boy, when I get out, boy, you guys are going to be so tired of my pictures. It's not funny. So, all right. It was so good to see you. I'll talk
to you later.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Day.
Okay. And she's right. A lot of energies are super mischievous like that. Like throwing the dish thing in the middle of the kitchen. Basically, it threw it into the middle of a dirty spot where the old paint was. And they were saying, paint, clean this up. Clean it up. Okay. So let's see. I have a lot of people coming through here. If anybody wants to come on, you're more than welcome to. I will put the link right back up here. Right there. If you can get it to work. Someone said that it works better on YouTube. So if you go to the YouTube, My Mystical Life, you'll find it there. Let's see. Fairies like shiny stuff. Yes, they do. They do. And if Meredith Tyler was on here, she would be telling you never to dance with the fairies and never eat the fairies' food because you will never feel rested again and you will never find food that satisfies you ever again. So never eat with the fairies or dance with the fairies in your dreams. Tracy Charles says, I keep having pens blow up on me at work. I'm suspecting Spirit wants me to write. If that is what you're thinking, then make sure you pick that pen up and maybe get a pencil. get a pencil and start writing. Type it out. Type it out. It's safer. Who wants to have pens exploding on them? Okay. That happens to me all the time, and I chalked it up to being losing things. My husband always says, how could you keep losing things? But they always reappear. Now I'm going to have to pay better attention. That's Lisa Phillips. You know what? I'm constantly misplacing things like my phone. If I get frustrated, I know that that's me. But there's other times where I go, I know I left that there. Where the hell did it go? And it generally has to do with jewelry for me. So that's very relevant. Okay, Ellie Coyle, if people are struggling with spirits, where would you guide them to and what would you do to help them clear it? Good question, Ellie. You know, the very first and possible thing that you can do is try to take care of it yourself. If you have just a mild little thing, okay, let me rephrase this. Myself personally, if I have an energy in the house and I know how to deal with it and help it transition over, I will do that. Sometimes you'll run across energies that don't care to move over. And we talked about that earlier with shamanism. You can have a shaman come in and help psychopomp them over. But if you just have a casual energy coming through saging, if the house feels uncomfortable, sage it. Use some Palo Santo, bitch be gone spray. I have, stuff like that. Just to make sure that your house feels clean. Open the windows, put rose quartz by the windows. That's very, very beneficial. It helps filter energy. Selenite as well. So selenite, we have something here. This is so funny. I'm getting pushback right now because we have an energy here in this house and I haven't really run into him quite yet. So I see someone just logged on. So that's Lisa Phillips. She got on, yay. I'll give it to you in just a second. I know, right? It's like Christmas. So I haven't really directly run into him. He's been really kind of with my husband talking to Sam and showing himself to Sam. But as I was talking about putting selenite out and things to filter the energy in a house, I get a push right in the middle of my head. I'm like, oh. Now, I found that the last time we were on Hawaii, that it was very much, there were several energies that come through just to say, hey, here I am kind of thing. And then they move on. So I find a lot of activity on Hawaii. I just haven't found it here yet, whereas Sam has. So that's a flip-flop for us. So let's bring on Lisa Phillips to see what she has to talk about. I'm really, really loving that people can get on. I know this isn't our traditional reading. I just think it's great that people can get on and share their experiences and their experience as how to take care of things. Black tourmaline, psychic, Reiki psychic, hypnopsychic says black tourmaline is great as well. And no clearing necessary, Nancy says, because she enjoys the little mischievous one. And that is something as well. Some people like to have that feeling of comfort of knowing that they have someone else in the house. And actually, if they're agreeable, if they're just passing through, whatever. Okay, so let's bring on Lisa.
Hi.
Hi, Lisa.
I got it on YouTube.
Did you? That's good to know.
Yeah.
Now I can tell people, hey, go over here, try it over here. And you guys, if you're not on YouTube, go sign up on YouTube so that you can actually go follow on YouTube so you can actually find the link easy. So tell us about your experiences, Lisa.
Well, recently, when I was little, when we had a ghost in our house, and they actually got married in our hallway. Wow. They came down the hall in a wedding gown, and he stood next to her right at the end of the hall under the attic door and got married.
How very Beetlejuice.
It was the strangest thing. If my mother wasn't standing there, I don't know that I would have believed it really happened.
Oh my God.
But my mom saw it too.
Oh, doesn't that just...
I don't know who it could be. We moved into a brand new house.
Probably attached to the ground, something that happened in a previous, locale, or maybe was there a house there before that kind of thing?
I don't think so. I think it was farmland, but who knows?
Yeah, you never know, because honestly, who's to say there might not have been a big, beautiful tree there at one point in time that they got married under the tree, and it's just
right.
a reoccurring type of thing. So
it had a very high neckline, and it was a lacy bodice and just a drapey skirt with a ruffle on the bottom. And then she just had one little tiny veil that went off the back of her hair.
Oh,
and he was in a black suit.
I mean, and I'm sure it was probably just residual. I'm sure it was probably just a replaying memory.
Maybe we couldn't hear them.
Right.
We
Wow.
couldn't hear them. But
And,
recently, I think I told you that I found out my dad wasn't my biological father. But my biological father was my mother's boss, and he died when I was 10.
oh, oh,
And I knew him, and I had a relationship with him, and I still have gifts that he gave me when I was born.
mm-hmm.
And so I was, as more I'm becoming aware, and in this last year, I've really become more aware of my gifts that I've been told all my life I have. And I asked him, and I prayed to Mother God and Father God to please come to me because I have questions. And so I'm laying in my bed and I'm watching TV, and all of a sudden I see this tall, dark, thin figure come out of the corner of the wall between the bathroom door and the wall and walk towards me. I started flipping out.
Well,
I really didn't expect to see like a solid body there in front of me.
right.
And I started creeping up the bed, like towards the back. And then I started waking up my husband. And I'm like, Mark, get up. Somebody's in here. Somebody's in here.
Right.
And he walks over and he sits on the bottom of my bed. And I could see the bed indent.
Wow.
And he sat down and I went into a full-blown panic attack. I couldn't breathe. I got so scared, and he felt so heavy.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't think he was angry, but maybe a little disgruntled. Like maybe I was bothering him, or he was confused why this happened or something. I don't know. But it was the most surreal thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And I ended up waking up my husband. I'm like, somebody's in here. I could see him sitting on the bed. And he thinks now I'm nuts. But you could feel the cold, and you could just feel that heaviness.
Right.
And then he went away. I think I scared him. So he didn't say anything to me, but he came and he sat by at the end of my bed and looked at me to try and calm me down. And I could not calm down. I started to hyperventilate. I got so scared.
Yeah. But you could feel that it was him.
Yes, absolutely. Because he came to me once before, and I thought it was odd. About maybe 20 years ago, I had one of my ovaries removed. And I remember waking up in recovery, and I was in so much pain, and I was still a little confused, and I started screaming. And all of a sudden, I saw his head and him saying, "It's going to be all right. Take some breaths. You're okay." Right. And then he was gone, and I said, "That's really weird. Why would my mother's boss come and see me when I'm in trouble?" You know what I mean?
Right.
And yet he was there. So when I found out he was my biological father last year, about this time, I found out he was my biological father, and that I have others, that his kids that I knew for like the first 15 years of my life were my siblings.
Wow.
So I have a sister that's 13 days. I know. I have a sister that's 13 days older than me.
Oh my gosh.
And her name is Elise.
And
I had a brother, Danny, who committed suicide when he was 26. And a brother, Greg, that died from MS a few years ago. And then another brother named Robbie, who lives in New Mexico. So it's weird. And they remember me, and they remember my mother. And, it's just so strange.
Right.
But I didn't know what to do when, it's like, okay, I brought him there. Now what am I supposed to do with him?
Right. And actually Janet is saying it's nothing but a father's love for his daughter. Now, he was aware, I'm assuming.
I mean, like I said, I have things that he gave me. Like when I was born, he bought me a diamond bracelet.
Oh yeah.
I had a sterling silver bowl from Tiffany's that I had up until just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
He had a ring made of a woman's head. It was handmade in Italy that he gave my mom that I still have. Yeah, but he would take me to Central Park for lunch, and we'd go to the zoo, and we'd go to the San Gennaro Festival in Little Italy in New York, and we would go to all these fine restaurants like the Auto Pub, which was like a restaurant that had antique cars that you sat in
right.
to eat lunch and things like that. And I have those memories. My sister doesn't remember any of it. She remembers being at my house, but she doesn't have a lot of memories of her dad.
Right.
And it's like, you had him, but I have the memories. It's like weird.
Well, you know, and if it ever happens again, Janet's totally right. Just try to breathe through that and look at it differently rather than somebody trying to scare you as more to an acknowledgement of, okay, yes, this is validation and things like that. So
yeah, I feel my mom. My mom comes around me, and like the other day, I was I was doing some meditation, and I had my hand up and open like this, and I could feel her put her hand in my hand and just like keep rubbing my hand while I was meditating. And another time, she came to me and she's like, "Don't be sad. I'm not dead. I'm just in a different place, but I'm very much alive."
right.
And I said, "Well, then where have you been all this time?" And then she was gone.
Well, time is
But
different for them. They don't have time. We have the time, and they
yeah,
are just that. It's everything happens at the same time. You know, past, present, future, all going on at the same time. So they do kind of have a lot of fires and irons in the fire. So,
yeah,
well, thank you so much for getting on. You know, just know that it's just allow it to happen, and actually, the best thing you can do in a situation like that is talk to them.
yeah. And then a few weeks ago, I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and I'm not home. I'm in Georgia at my daughter's. And I was sitting outside talking on the phone, and I was telling him about my gifts. And he's like, thinking I'm like out of my mind. And all of a sudden, I feel a nudge from behind, and it was his father saying, "Ask him what he put in my pocket." I said, what? And he's going, "Ask him, go ahead, ask him what he put in my pocket." So I said, "You're not going to believe me, but what did you put in your father's pocket when he died?" And he's like, "I don't think we put anything in his pocket." I said, "Are you sure? It like has maybe a round head and it's in the upper chest pocket." And he's like, "Oh my God, I forgot I put the Model T key in his pocket because he collected antique cars."
Wow.
And he said, "Oh my God." I said, "Now do you believe me?"
You know, this takes a minute to make a person a believer when you have validation come through. So that's
I
great.
know. And it was so cool for me too to have that validation. But then his father was like, the weirdest thing was just feeling that nudging
Mm-hmm.
from behind saying, go ahead, ask him. Like
Right.
he was daring me.
Bet you won't. Bet you won't. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, you guys,
So,
child is actually her
thank you.
grandson. You have a grandson sitting there?
Yes, you
Yeah,
hear him running around.
grandson. Everybody's going, I hear children. It's her grandson. Hi. Okay. All right. It was
That's
so
my little Ben.
yeah. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Lisa. Good night.
Good night. Okay, so let's throw out some readings. We've been chit-chatting for a while, you guys. Let's go ahead and throw out some readings. I know probably people have probably flaked on us. So if you're still here, throw a shout out and let us just go ahead and start doing some fun stuff. I know so Courtney, I want to talk to you. Courtney Fleck. I actually know Courtney. I've watched Courtney grow up, and I'm shown a movie, actually, Courtney, and I don't know if this means anything to you, but I'm going to tell you about it. There's a movie called Stardust. It's kind of a little known. Look at you guys. You hung out and was listening. That's awesome. It's a little known movie. I mean, maybe not little known. It has, I can't remember the chick's name in it, but it's about, it has Claire Danes in it. And it's about a fallen star, and this guy falls in love with her, and his mother is captive on this witch's thingy, whatever. I don't know. But I really do enjoy the movie. But there's a moment in the movie that I know I love that movie. She hands off to her son, and he doesn't know that he's the son yet, this tiny little white flower. And it is this, what is the flower for? It's for protection. And it's just this tiny, what I would consider almost like it looks like a bluebell, but it's white. And it's this tiny little wildflower. And that is what is coming across for you, is this tiny little flower. And I don't know why it's relevant right now, but it is for you. And it's about protection and love. And safe spaces, heart spaces. And there's something within something you see. There's something that you see because I'm getting this pressure in my eyes, and it's like it's right there in front of you all the time. Pay attention. This is somebody that's around you all the time. Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer. Oh my gosh, she has got to stop. She's got to stop. She doesn't even look like Michelle Pfeiffer anymore. But that's what this person's talking about is pay attention. It's a snowdrop. That's right, Ellie Coyle. It's a snowdrop. It's a snowdrop. I'm sure it's probably not really called a snowdrop, but look up the snowdrop flower from Stardust. And it is, I'm just going to say I believe it's your mom. And I'm trying not to be obvious about it just because I know you, and that makes it more difficult for me to do a reading, because when I know somebody, I try not to do that because then I feel like I'm led and blah, 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 but I know it's your mom. And she's just being like quiet about it and just being like, I'm there. And I feel like there's a picture that you look at every once in a while. It's maybe on a mantle or on an entertainment center that when you're drawn to that, just know that that's her going, hey. And there we go. Shit. See? Hey. Okay. My camera, normally my camera just falls, but the whole box fell. So there we go. All right, moving on. I see that there's a lot of people here, so let's go ahead and do this, you guys. And I am not going in any particular order because I go to where the Spirit tells me to go, and I can see where I need to go after this. So, but we're moving on. So I want to talk to Kelly McCormick about not paying attention to the things that you have going on around you. I feel like you have some really obvious signs on you are trying to do one thing and it's maybe not working out the way you want. And get a little frustrated and you go, what the is going on? And it's because your guides are trying to help you figure out, and this is, as I'm talking about it, they've got this vice on my head. They're like, pay attention, because if you really resist them too much, I feel like it's going to cause some anxiety and you're going to get some headaches, or talking about bring it down, slow down, drop the energy a little bit. Everything isn't a life or death situation. Just make sure you settle down and really analyze some situations and decide on the correct way to go. Now, how is it to know the correct way to go? Follow your gut. Okay, follow your gut. And now the pressure's left up off my head. Thank goodness, because it was like a vice on my head. Like, she needs to know this. So there you go. Follow your gut. Wanda June Barron. The first thing I want to do is cough. I want to put out some stuff, and this is very much about the throat chakras, having some things to say, not really saying them, and feeling as if that it's a stifled situation where if I say this is going to cause problems, but if I don't say it, it causes problems within me, and then it can manifest into health issues. We don't want that. So make sure you're paying attention. If you have something to say, there's always a wonderful way to say something rather than just spitting something out. Maybe think about it a little bit, but it just feels like there's something to say. Okay, you guys, let me do this really quickly. Late Bloomers Intuitive Development classes starts next Tuesday. You can go to My Mystical Life to sign up. They're super affordable. It's $10 a class, 1 class a week, for 3 months. And by the time you're done, you're reading other people. If that's what you choose to do, you're reading other people. If you want to use it, if you don't want to use it, then you have a great skill to be able to move forward in life more intuitively. So that starts next Tuesday, mymysticallife.com. Everything I do, you can find at My Mystical Life. All my readings, all my whatever, all my healing sessions, you can find over there. There, see, look, I did all my commercial stuff. Okay, and we'll go back over here. Okay. All right, so let's see. Cheryl Shipe Baker. I want to talk about a pain in the neck. I feel like you carry a lot of tension in your shoulders and in your neck area. And as I start talking about this, I actually get that feeling like I got a massage and issues are being worked on. And make sure that you're releasing some stress. Make sure you are not taking everything from the environment around you. You're an empath, which means you are very sensitive to other people's information, other people's energy, anger, frustration, fear, sorrow, happiness, all of that. You're very sensitive to it. So make sure that you understand that, because people that don't understand that they're an empath roll through life trying to figure out why they're on a roller coaster all the time. So once we understand that this is what's going on, we can start to take care of it, learning how to take care of the basics. It is a clair. It's a clair. It is a psychic ability. So if you're not aware of it, pay attention, and I think you're going to see a difference. A lot of people think that they're just moody. People be like, God, she's moody today. Yeah, whatever. Jody, I see an upswing for you. I see a sudden whoosh of energy and smiling and awards. I'm not quite sure what they're talking about. They're talking about people handing you things and saying, good job. And then you handing somebody else something. I'm not quite sure. It's like you're in the middle of a process here. So I don't know if it means that you're getting accolades for something, or if you are getting a sum of money and you're passing it through you to somebody else. I'm not quite sure what they're talking about, but they're saying there's this influx of something coming in for you. But also make sure that you're paying attention to some people's feelings around you, because I feel like there's some things that could be going on that people are really, of course, who isn't sensitive right now? Everybody's got a reason to have their feelings hurt, but that's what it feels like. It's like somebody could be very ultra sensitive. Make sure you're paying attention to that. Okay. Moving on. Nancy Bolliard says her husband says he chased a leprechaun through his grandparents' field when he was young. His brother thought he was crazy. I don't discount anything. I have talked to dragons. I discount nothing. And I've actually spoken to a gnome in Montana, which was like, those words never would have come out of my mouth before. So I don't discount anything at all. It's on your dresser. Okay, Courtney, because it's just your mom saying, hey, when you catch that out of the corner eye, you are actually getting validation. Okay, moving on. Where's Odin? Odin is in Oklahoma. That's how often we move, you guys. Where the hell are we? Where the hell are they? He's in Oklahoma. My mother-in-law is house sitting. So Buford and Odin are there at the house with her and her dogs and her cat and Fern, and they're having a blast. My mother-in-law is actually loving it at the house in Oklahoma. So yay. It works for her, works for me, and Sam as well. Okay. All right. Cindy Johnson. So, Cindy, the first thing I want to say is as soon as I see your picture, as it pops up right here on the little computer, where is that? Somewhere. Okay, right over there. As soon as I see your picture, I hear my soul song. That means to me that you are on, and they call it a thread of the correct path. Now, a lot of people go, how do I know I'm on my soul path? How do I know I'm on my soul journey? What I'm doing is correct. Here's what I have to tell you. What you're doing right now is always going to change from minute to minute. And as you learn lessons, your goalpost is going to change. So you're not always going to be striving for the same lessons. As we learn things, our guides and our higher self go, let's change the rules. And then they move it. So everybody goes, I want to know if I'm on my soul path. Guess what? They're going to move it. It just is the way it is. And I just chuckle about it, because we always feel like we're working. If we actually met all of our, I don't know why I'm supposed to tell you this way, but if we met all of our goals, then we would be feeling stagnant. And that's not what we're supposed to do in this lifetime. So just know that your goalposts are going to change, but you're on the right path. They're talking about a right string of your path. So good for you. Whew. We are just, you guys, the energy in Hawaii is very flooding. So when I start working, I'm working differently than I used to work. So, and I mean, by used to work, I mean like last week. Okay. So this energy is very, very swamping to me. So when I start to talk and it gets really, really fast, that's what's going on, is I'm being swamped with energy. Ellie Coyle is going to bed. Oh, where'd she go? Ellie Coyle. Hey, Mom. Ellie's where? Hey, Mom, who? Is it your mom? Is it really your mom? I want to know if it's really your mom. Right, it's 2:30. I need to go and sleep. Have a great day. Go to bed. Love you lots, Ellie. Ellie is wonderful. Ellie and I are going to get on one afternoon and we are going to do a live together because we need to. Okay, let's go to Linda Nichols. I want to go to an animal totem. You guys see this? I'm covered up because the air conditioning is so cold here. Linda Nichols, I want to go to an animal totem. I want to go to a leopard. When I'm working with animal totems are animals that come forward. I got to slow down. Okay, animal totems are animals that come forward. That's how you know I'm channeling, you guys. That lend us qualities. And this is a lifetime animal totem for you. This is a totem that signed up to stay with you from the beginning to the end of this life. And this is about adaptability. This guide is, and what they do is they lend you their qualities and their traits to help us navigate this life. And what's really amazing is I often have people ask me how many guides they have. And the thing is we have at least 7 animal totems and at least 7 base guides, spirit guides to start with. So if we could see all the guidance that we have at any given time, you'd feel a little claustrophobic because they're all over the place. But this leopard actually comes in and it's talking about your adaptability. It's talking about your, it's talking about your ability to change with circumstances and be the anchor for people that need that. Because some people really need that person in their life that is the stability, the person they can always turn to. You're that person. You're that person that people can go, the sky is falling, and you go, yeah, it'll fall. It'll go away. It'll pass. And you're just an anchor. You're just an anchor. So that's really amazing. I love that energy for you. Just make sure you're not giving too much of yourself out because a lot of people like to attach to that anchor. Make sure you're not oversharing yourself out because then, what is it? You can't pour from an empty pot. So moving on. You have to go get a blood transfusion tomorrow, so you're stressed. Breathe. You know, breath work is really important. And I'm not saying sit there and, no, we don't have to do that. 3 good, deep, cleansing breaths into the gut when you're feeling so stressed and slowly releasing it after a count of like 3 of holding it. So it's a and just that really helps. Do that 3 times whenever you're feeling overly stressed. And it really does help. Okay, moving on. There's, we see Ellie going to bed. Okay. Look at everybody saying goodnight, Ellie. Everybody giving Ellie love. I absolutely love Ellie. Okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I know. Ellie's gone. She's sleeping now. Let's see. Lisa Ann. I want to talk about the 3 of diamonds. I want to talk about I don't do cardomancy, which is reading a deck of regular playing cards, but I'm going to give you what I get off of it, which is a lot of passion for family. I get a lot of unity and a sense of being blessed in several different areas. In some areas where you just feel like you got shoestringed, you know? So what they're talking about is making sure you're giving the joy out there for the things that you have. And that's going to create a bounty for you that's going to also be assisted. Hold on. Okay, thank you. You guys don't normally see me stop to have this conversation. But they're like, but wait. They're talking about, you have guides that are talking about taking a minute, looking at the things that are not, that you feel like, they kind of didn't go as well as you planned them to go, and analyze kind of why. Find the things within them that were dissatisfactory and change it, because that's all within your energetic field to do. You're clairaudient, which means your guides talk to you all the time. So if you're having conversations with yourself, pay attention to what you're saying. And it may even be you have to stop and sit back and go, oh my gosh, I was subconsciously talking to myself. What was the conversation about? Because I really think that's important. And it is. And it is. Your guides are trying to help guide you to changing some different things in life that they feel could be better for you. I hope that helps. I don't know what they're talking about, but I know that they're very persistent in it, because they stopped me. And anybody that watches me for a while now knows I don't usually stop like that. I don't usually stop and go, what? and have a conversation online. I'm usually just channeling everything through. All right, moving on. So this, I'm just going to be able to give a yes or no for, because when it comes to stuff like this, I'm not going to tell you a lie. I'm not the greatest at this type of thing, but what I can do is give you inner pendulum work and clairsentient, and tell you, if you don't get the first loan, apply for another loan, because there's an alternative if you don't get the first loan. So, and I'll tell you how I get that. I talk to my guides about, let's do some muscle testing and figure out which way this goes. And they're kind of like really hesitant to give a yes. It's almost a maybe. So it's almost like there's a variable there that might need to be fixed. Maybe they need some more information. Okay, moving on. Yeah, when I start talking and when I'm channeling, you guys, I cannot wait to start this trance mediumship that I'm going to be doing. We have tons and tons of guides. I'm discovering that as I meditate, because that's really what I'm doing, is a lot of meditation here. As I meditate and I'm communicating with my trance guide, I have this different sensation in my jaw right before I start to slide down. So it's really interesting, but I'll be working with Ashtar, who is part of the Galactic Council, and Pleiadian. So interesting stuff, and I can't wait to actually get that going. A little hesitant. I'm a little hesitant, and I'm not afraid to say I'm always learning, you guys, and I think it's important as intuitives that we always keep stretching our boundaries. And this is one of the things, though, that my guides have been pushing me for about 6 months, and I didn't realize what it was. I didn't know. And I actually have one or two people that I'm going to use for, I don't want to call them guinea pigs, but we're going to call them guinea pigs, to test out this new healing thing that my guides have been pushing me for. And it's going to involve a couple different aspects. So as I work on this, and I thought you were going to bed, Ellie. As I work on this, maybe she did. It fleshes out a little bit more. So that's why I've been very slow about putting it out there. And it's going to involve theta brainwave meditation, and for the person I'm working on, and for myself to step into their energetic field so we can journey together. How cool is that? And I mean it. We will be journeying together. I will be walking through a trance, speaking and talking to you as we go through, and you'll be walking with me within a journey. I can't make this up. This is right up there with, I held off putting soul tapping out for several years because I was like, oh, I don't know. Is it effective? Because I didn't learn it from somebody else. I learned it from my guides. So silly. So this is something that's coming up, and it's going to be really cool. Really cool. Okay. I agree. Ellie is Ellie's guiding light. She's very, very talented. Okay. Yay, I'm glad. I'm glad, Lisa. And you can see I'm going through these because it takes me forever to scroll up to the top to hit something new. Okay, so that is something I'm working on though, you guys. And what I'm going to do now though is I'm going to go ahead and start to get ready to sign off because Sam gets off work. We're having spaghetti for dinner. Super excited about that. But you can find everything I do at mymysticallife.com if you're interested in taking intuitive development and you feel like you have a clair. We all have a clair, so this is kind of like a trick question thing, but not a question, but we all have a clair. I didn't start this till I was 38 years old. So it is the benefit of knowing how to connect the dots and help people connect the dots. That is why I think I enjoy this. I like to see that aha moment pop with people. So that class starts next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. And we have a really awesome class already set up. I mean, I can't wait because not only do we have that class, we have the previous class that's on the private group that everybody will be included in if they go and join this class because it's one night a week for 3 months. And there's always recordings if you can't make it. So that's not a big deal. But the other class will also be on that group still so that you can always go back and ask them for guidance as well because everybody does everything a little bit differently. Okay, so I'm going to let everybody go and I'm going to go meditate before my husband gets here. And I hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon and find peace and find joy. And I had fun today talking about our ghost stories. I think maybe not even ghost stories, but our encounters. I think that this is going to be a format we do often where we can sit and chat about things that we've had happen to us because we all have different experiences. And that's important to realize that just because it's happening to you, you're not alone. Ready to connect the dots. Woo, woo. Yeah, it's interesting. Do you think somebody moved your dots? I love it. It was a difficult, Elisa Ann, you can find it at mymysticallife.com. On the front page, there's a little block under the main header. You'll be a guinea pig. I've got a couple people lined up for a guinea pig, and I will need a couple people, more than a couple people, because I want to make sure that I am firm in this. I know how to do it. Matter of fact, as I'm sitting here talking, you guys, I can feel just talking about going into trance. It's the weirdest thing that you can feel it. It's just really weird. But when it feels like somebody moved your dots, it's okay. It's a learning process. That's why it's called spiritual practice. It is. Okay. All right, you guys, have a wonderful evening. Find joy, be blissful, all that good spiritual stuff. And, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow because I have a goal. I'm going to be on here every day. So like, follow, and share and spread the fun. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.